I'm watching Snarky J, and now I'm going to watch Supergirl by
It wasn't, but in honor of Pride Month, as I'm getting all these questions,
the
I don't
movie
know, it can only
Cynic.
go both ways.
Welcome to this year's Snow White.
Weird, weird.
Any of you ever have that friend who would do anything to embarrass you in public?
Why did you me? Baltazar, you can't say shit like that.
That's how it feels to watch Supergirl.
It's an uninspiring, derivative, poorly acted, lazily written, obnoxious, thrown together dumpster fire that feels way longer than.
He's actually just saying the same thing that every other grifter or hater has said. He never says anything positive. If you look at his channel, and I'm gonna browse at his channel real quick. Notice I don't subscribe to him because I don't want his stuff in my feed. Look at all his videos. Move this out the way. Everything sucks. Odyssey, what are we even doing anymore? The Mandalorian and Grogu absolutely suck. Mortal Kombat 2, high quality brain rot. How the Oscars become absolute joke. When your acting is a joke. Harry Potter in the show is crooked. That was kind of fail, I think. When celebrities self-destruct. You see, these are the same things. The same exact things that other people in his particular niche grifting do. Him is the worst movie of the year 9 months ago. I didn't like it. I will not say it was the worst movie of the year. This grifter, known as the movie Cynic, let's see if we can find any further identification. Send your hate mail here. You see, he wants people to email him. He's even included his own his email address, as well as Patreon and his Twitter feed. If I click on Patreon, because I have the app, uh, give it a second to load. Gotta charge my phone when I go do my when I go see the fireworks. Become a member. Mm, that's all he has. Wait. Someone. Oh my love. Exclusive views and essays. Member name displayed in the videos. Member name displayed at the end of the videos. Access to video scripts. Patreon only live streams. Shit that no one asked for.
Than its runtime because it's as exciting as a Taco Bell induced bowel movement. In other words, it's exactly what we thought it would be. Yep, this movie is cheeks. Supergirl is a super bomb in every conceivable way, even though tens of people raced to the theater in support. When the first reviews dropped, it was said to be Furiosa meets Guardians, but it's more like Fist meets ass. This septic tank of a movie should never have been made.
You see what I'm saying? They're comparing it to Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, which I would say was actually better than this movie. For one, I like Supergirl. I liked it. I liked the movie. I don't love it. It could have been better. Yeah, it is kind of boring, but to be fair, to be absolutely fair, it's not as bad as people make it. It's not hate worthy, really, in my humbled opinion.
Let alone sit as the second movie in the delicate first days of a new shared universe like the DCU.
It might not be directed by James Gunn, but it's got his grimy little fingerprints all over it.
The freewheeling trench coat.
Right, because you didn't hate him doing the Guardians of the Galaxy, but you hated him doing Superman, which actually did fairly well compared to what everybody else was saying.
Wearing protagonist, the quippy Marvel-style gags, the animal sidekick, The slow motion fight scenes where someone's standing there in awe watching a superpowered being beat up bad guys, while a shitty selection of music plays to fit the vibe. Supergirl is this year's.
I'm not gonna lie though, that Jimmy Eat World cover was perhaps the worst choice for me, at least, of this movie. They should have never included that song. Like the moment I started hearing those lyrics, I was like, okay, this song sounds familiar. Where is it? Oh my god, it's literally Jimmy Eats World, the middle. Somebody's doing a cover of it. I did not like it. I still don't. That's the one good thing I say he actually is telling the truth about. That music choice regarding the cover during the ending fight scene is not a
Snow
good
White in the
choice.
meta sense too, with Millie Alcock performing her best Zegler impression. Her
Actually, she's nowhere near what Zegler did. The shit that Alcock said is small, far small, not comparison, but contrast, in fact, to what Zegler said. Zegler flat out destroyed her persona when it comes to anything related to Snow White. People do not want to see her, even in a Snow White outfit or even near it. It is complete, or anything involving Disney. She's probably having a hard time finding any work in Hollywood at this point because of that. Neither Alcock, however, yeah, she says some things related to, Pride Month and the LGBT plus community, which I do not support that community, nor do I support Pride Month because I do not like either. But she said what she had to say in a much more controlled manner than what Zegel ever did. So I will not compare Alcock to
tour was
Zegel.
a disaster. She would have been better served answering every question like a melatonin dream.
I don't think her PR was a disaster. She might not have had the right word choice, but it definitely was not as bad as Zegler.
Supergirl's basically like Snow White when talking about film quality too.
My guy, the film distortion here, your fucking I'm sorry, your nose sticks out like a what is that called again? Uh, the one with Bart and the yellow people. Oh, The Simpsons. He literally no, never mind. He looks like Doug.
For comparison's sake, last year's Zegler-led Bomb debuted with a B-plus cinema score from its most forgiving fans, which is basically the word-of-mouth equivalent to death in the movie world. Snow White plummeted 66% in its
I'm not gonna lie. I never saw Snow White, but I'd probably hate it.
second weekend, and Supergirl somehow outdone it in every way, scoring an absolutely disastrous B- from opening night filmgoers. Watching its second weekend
What score are you pulling from? I bet you're pulling from a score that no one looks
drop-off
at.
is going to be way more entertaining than the movie was, that's for damn sure. Supergirl stars Millie Alcock in the lead role.
Shit, I'm so tired of standing in this motherfucking line. It's
That's just disrespectful to both Millie Alcock and this albino person. Looks like she's biracial of sort, probably albino. Dude, you just disrespected two people.
I'm serious. I can't deal with this.
And the movie picks up right where last year's James Gunn
Look, I know that people, and I want to make this out real quick. I know that people think it's funny. They think it's harmless when it's just the internet. It's not harmless. It's actually pretty harmful because it's the same thing as if you're saying it to the face. And my whole vibe is, if you're not going to say it to my face, don't say it on the internet. Don't say it. Don't say it online. Because believe it, I'll find your ass.
stinker Superman left off. While that one at least had an enamoring performance by David Cornsweet, this film's hero is led by an aura-farming tryhard who looks ridiculous in fight scenes, and even worse when emoting as the angsty 20-something who doesn't give a shit. Speaking of not giving a shit, it seems like
I mean, like you, emoting as you. Damn, I really do want to make my feature film. Where I basically smash on grifters. I roast grifters. I have an idea. It's a parody of grifters. I want to make a movie about
the
that.
writer certainly didn't, because all
So I have to find actors that look like the people, such as the movie Cynic. I have to find actors that look like them, that can portray
Fox
them.
trying and failing to make a script work that's on par with the worst that the superhero genre has to offer. At best, it's a mashup of stories we've had time and again at this point. It wants to be Guardians of the Galaxy, then a bit of Mad Max, then a bit of Superman, then a wannabe John
Do you notice how he's saying the same exact thing that everybody else is saying? All the grifters are saying the same exact words. They're saying it even in the same order. It wants to be Guardians of the Galaxy with Mad Max, with John Wick, with Morbius. They're saying the same exact lines in the same exact order. It's a copy of a copy of a copy. Anytime you have that, I cannot trust your logic and I cannot trust your so-called review because you're basically repeating what the critical drinker and what non-erotic had already said. You're all repeating the same thing. That makes you look less that makes you look less authentic and more fabricated.
Style revenge flick. Basically, it repeats storylines you've already seen in much better movies.
Just like you repeat the same shit that everybody else says about this movie.
Remember the plot of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 when Star-Lord had to save Rocket, who was out of commission for the entire movie? Just replace Mr. Lord with Kara Zor-El and Rocket with Crypto when you have yourself a shittier version of that movie. And that's the film when it's at its best. At worst, it's a boring slog of and-then storytelling with every scene wrapped up via convenience or contrivance. Hell, it doesn't even have a good message, which the movie
Contrivance. You know damn well his white ass, his white big nose, Doug looking ass did not think of that word.
is confused about. It doesn't know what it's trying to say. Is revenge bad? Is murder good? What exactly makes Earth her home in the end? She certainly doesn't experience a hero's journey, so what are we even doing?
You know what? Let's break down this.
I don't know, watching her kick ass and watching a movie, and then we're watching her find out that she could be a little bit more like Clark, and then not necessarily be as dark. There's a ton we can get from this movie, or we can just do the better part of it and not watch it.
By going through the story, shall we? The story of
Okay.
Supergirl.
The movie starts with the first glimpse of our new female heroine, puking her way through a cycle of
Notice how he never really wanted to start with that. What he wanted to do was go into his own personal thoughts and then start it later when the time was convenient for him. What he should have done was just led with that. You should have gave us a synopsis before you even went to your own personal
partying and
thoughts.
recovery. What a role model.
I'm sorry.
The montage is accompanied by thoroughly grating retro music that fits an aesthetic that was cool a decade ago. So we're starting off obnoxious, but fear not, it's only downhill from here. Crypto's
Just because they copied something that people are familiar with, which films do, all films do this more or less to a certain extent, with the exception of Obsession, of course, and maybe even Backrooms. But we all see this trope of art inspiring art, art following other art. Just like you're leading your video just the same way as any other grifter is doing. From Lord Waddick to the Critical Drinker as the two primary figures to, I guess, Asmund Gold. You're saying the same exact shit in the same exact order. You're doing no different from
starts
Supergirl.
pissing on everything because for whatever reason James Gunn is obsessed with urine.
Actually, it's because he's a dog. Crypto is a dog. That's what they do. They piss if you don't take your dog. If you as the owner do not take your dog out to piss, they will piss literally anywhere. Also, they mark their territory. He's a male dog. Crypto, not Crypta. He's marking his territory.
Let's piss on their dead bodies and make love to their carcasses.
This is not the only
I'm not gonna lie, that was actually
time
pretty
nor
funny.
the only creature that will be seen pissing in this movie. Hell, even the camera
I'm sorry, but Crypto is like the best part of both Superman and Supergirl. The best part. Period.
filter they use is piss colored. We then meet our antagonist, who's arrived on a planet to pick up some weapons he'd commissioned among other nefarious purposes. His name is Krem, but let's call him Epstein since that's basically who he is in this movie.
And he kind of looks and acts like this.
Motherfucker got that panty break in that motherfucker. I got hell more jewelry in that bitch too, you heard me? My mother the diamonds on my knee.
Epstein, as you know,
Where did he get that shit from? Not gonna lie, Krim is he's a bad supervillain. Not a
has
good
an
choice.
affinity for young women. Yeah, we continued down the harem pipeline started in Superman last year, because these guys collect young ladies to turn into brides. Have you seen Fury Road? Okay, then you've already seen a better version of this bullshit.
Maybe because they're fitting in the whole child sex trafficking thing. Sound of Thunder much? Sound of
Anyway,
Freedom?
Epstein gets involved in a
Yeah, it's the word that YouTube will not allow you to say. Sex
skirmish with the
trafficking.
weapons manufacturer and kills the whole family except the little girl Ruthie, who they not only let live, but later say they want as a bride, and they just leave her there because the plot needs them to. I can't tell you how many times in this movie someone has an opportunity to kill or kidnap the person they're trying to kill or kidnap, but they just don't because the story doesn't need it to happen yet.
You mean like Nemesis in the remake of Resident Evil 3?
Anyway, Supergirl conveniently is partying on the exact same planet where this is all happening. So when Ruthie is allowed to live for no reason, she just so happens to conveniently walk into the bar Supergirl's partying in.
Just like Jill in Resident Evil 3 remake that came out a few years ago, when Nemesis had her dead to rights in the very beginning of the movie. They called it the movie starts, sorry, the game. The game starts out with cutscenes rather than gameplay. Well, it actually starts out with a little bit of gameplay, but you know my point, especially
A
with the
fight
game.
breaks out in the bar to showcase Supergirl's strength. I'm just kidding. The scene isn't even close to being as good as that meme. From here on out, the movie wants to be a revenge tale with things happening without rhyme or reason. Like, let's just start jumping from place to place when we need to. 1, 2, 3, go. Our bad guy Epstein is without a ship after his was blown up in the skirmish earlier, and he runs across Supergirl's ship because of course he does. Commandeering the space vehicle, Supergirl and the gang come across him just as he's taking off, and he shoots the obnoxious dog right in the neck with a poison dart. While I applaud taking out the annoying CGI piss machine, I find it hilarious that this dude who's portrayed as a psychopathic murderer, a dude who's evil for the sake of it, decides to use a poison dart on a dog instead of just incinerating it or something like he does to literally everyone else.
First of all, well, actually, he probably could have done it considering the fact that she was on a red sun planet. So he probably could have scorched the hell out of Crypto. But if he's on a yellow sun planet, his force field kicks in and it's not easy to set him ablaze. So, yeah, I do give him that point there. But it's better to have a poison dart because it gives our protagonist, Supergirl, 3 days, the time that she needs to find the antidote. It creates the story. It creates the movie,
That her
okay?
stupid ass dog only has 3 days to live, so she heads out to, I shit you not, collect the antidote off of Epstein that he keeps on his.
Think they were doing a Jesus thing here with the 3 days? I mean, it's a very common number. Not gonna lie.
Person. Yeah, he uses the poison darts and keeps the antidote in case he, I don't know, accidentally poisons himself, has a change of heart in the heat of the moment and wants to save the person he just poisoned.
Who gives a shit? Moving on.
Yes, indeed. Annoying Girl wants revenge on Epstein, but Supermid tells her she'll kill him for her.
My neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack.
That's right, for whatever reason, Supergirl doesn't want Ruthie to be responsible for a death. So even though Annoying Girl will absolutely try to kill Epstein, Supermid allows her to tag along anyway, because of course she does. Then they conveniently and constantly run into people who just so happen to know where Krem's location is, because of course they fucking do. And then they're going to wherever the fuck when they're conveniently attacked by some space pirates who also happen to know where Epstein's island is. And they just give up the location. Wow, geez, that was easy, wasn't it? In between all this bullshit, we have a lazily placed flashback scene to fill in the gaps of Supermid's history, where we learn that when Krypton was destroyed, her father managed the force field around one of the cities, and it just kind of floated through space for years. Unfortunately, the force field is also slowly poisoning them with kryptonite, so he sends his daughter, the future Super...
Not the force field, it's just that kryptonite got inside the water. Because when the planet was destroyed, they had a bunch of kryptonite that didn't know where to go, so it kind of just went about to wherever it could find. Hence the water source they had available.
To stay with her cousin Superman on Earth. And then, after the flashback's over, they head to a planet where they just so happen to run into a husband and wife who cough up information about Epstein. Well, if it isn't the worst luck ever, their daughter's been put up for ransom. No, Epstein won't kill her if they somehow capture Annoying Girl and Supermid. However the hell that's gonna happen. That's right, they now want to capture Ruthie. You know, that girl they just left there after murdering her parents because the script needed them to? Oh, and then this dude Lobo. I told you there were lots of and thens. So this dude...
It gives her a reason to be alive, because this dude is acting like he doesn't understand how filmmaking works. They need something for the character to have to even be as an excuse to be alive. He knows why is he trying to make this a thing? Come
Lobo
on.
shows up to help because, why the fuck not? He also just so happens to be hunting the bad guy in his crew too. So whatever, I guess, now he's here. And then
Dude, what do you want? What would you like Lobo to do? Tell me. Work for the actual bad guy and then turn around and have a moral epiphany and then work against the bad guy? That probably would have been more, that would have been better, but you can play about
next
that.
part is hilariously bad writing. So the annoying girl has the bad guy right where she wants him. She sneak attacks him, she's right up behind him, but Supergirl flies at the speed of sound to stop her. For whatever reason, she really doesn't want this girl to be responsible for a death, which we have no idea where this moral compass comes from for Supergirl. Is she used to murdering? Does she have red in her ledger?
Probably.
What's driving this
Probably.
need to prevent this girl from exacting
How do you think she got that ship? I bet she killed the original owner.
revenge? Anyway, we get a hilarious answer when the bad guy murders the married couple and the daughter. And Supergirl sees the immediate aftermath with the bad guy walking off actually teeing to himself. I mean, like, actually teeing, like, So Supergirl's completely responsible for these deaths. Like, she, for one thing, could have just let the girl have her revenge, or two, instead of tackling the girl, tackled the bad guy. Either choice would have prevented these murders from happening, if only
True. See them make fun of her? See?
this superhero wasn't retard maxing. Anyway, they find out where the villain's headed next because the plot deems it so, and it happens to be a planet with two suns, a green one and a yellow one. For some dumbass reason, they decide to land when the green sun is out, which means Supermid is completely depowered and immobilized. And
Because she didn't know that the planet was orbited by a green sun.
then
They tricked her. The people that took her tricked her. Obviously.
Annoying Girl is kidnapped by Epstein's crew, because of course she is. Shit just happens in this movie.
Sometimes
Yep. Sometimes that works best.
shit happens, someone has to deal with it.
For no rhyme or reason. Things occur because they must, not
Should have included the rest of that clip. I bet it would have when it gets them, but
because they make any sense. So how do they solve all these problems? Well, Supermid just kind of waits until the yellow sun comes out, and then she's superpowered again. Well, that was easy, I guess. Oh my god, this movie sucks. Let's just...
I gotta admit, the ways that she was kind of exposed to that sun, it should have killed her. She got lucky, I will admit. Or was it her time? Fate worked in her favor? Obviously,
this
sorry,
over
I'm
with.
tired.
So then with Supermid all superpowered, she goes and saves the day and obliterates Epstein's floating mechanical island with the help of Annoying Girl and Lobo's shitty styrofoam abs. Supermid grabs the antidote for her dog, almost forgot about him for a second, and stops Annoying Girl from killing Epstein so that she can do it.
Yep.
Okay. What's with the girl boss characters in the DCU being the only ones okay with murder so far? Hawk Girl and now Supergirl are just like, I'm not your typical hero, and then commit war crimes and shit. Anyway, and then, this is the final and then.
And then nothing else because I'm done ordering, okay?
Supermid returns to Earth to settle down and take superheroing seriously, now that she's done with her hoe phase of murder. And anyway, that's it. That's the end. That's the fucking movie. And nope, there wasn't even an after-credit scene. Thank God. Are we done with that trope? Can we let it die, please?
I think he's right about that. We really do need to let that die. I'm like the audience. Please let us just leave.
All right, now that we're done with the story, let's start with the pros. All right, now let's go to the...
He seriously does have a big nose, man. The lens distortion in this is something serious. It's like his nose. His nose cannot be that pointy in reality. My dude looks like, I don't know if I can call him Doug or the bully that didn't like Doug in that movie. No, the bully that didn't like Doug. Hell, and I also wanted to say The Simpsons. He looks like them. Like God.
The atrocious script. From the story breakdown, you've heard me complain about it all in bits and pieces. The non sequitur and then storytelling. The unbelievable amount of coincidence and contrivances it requires for the story to even function, when it's barely functioning as a story at all. Our lead villain
Travis
murders
is
people for fun, but when it comes to Crypto, he chooses a poison dart to incapacitate
titties.
him. Geez, that sure was lucky.
Yeah,
The driving force of the plot is born entirely out of lazy writing. Awesome. Good start. Or what about the race against time countdown that can normally keep tension in a story? It doesn't happen here. In the third act, Supergirl shows up on the planet with 2 suns when the green one is out. Then just waits until the yellow sun rises to regain her powers. Why the fuck didn't she just show up when the yellow sun was out, since time was clearly not a factor?
Because she was tricked. And it doesn't matter, it was a fact of the
Or
whole.
what about the main villain leaving the annoying girl as the lone survivor, just to turn around and have him be motivated to capture her for the rest of the film? Problems like this pepper the script, and we haven't even gotten into the dialogue. It's your standard modern dialogue aimed at Gen Z, the type where they just assume you're not actually paying attention visually, so they just have the characters say exactly what they're doing all the time. You know, that kind of dialogue. And that's mixed with the horrifically stale Marvel humor that was funny 15 years ago. Humor evolves, but not Marvel style. It's the same type of quips, the same way everything is always undercut by a stupid joke, because nothing can be taken seriously for very long. Not that anything in this movie is to be taken seriously, mind you. So to conclude this section,
No.
if you combine modern shitty dialogue with
You just are a depressed person that probably takes some kind of Xanax just to have even anything about happiness. He takes a serotonin supplement. My God, he is white, so I'm sorry, but they are the most depressed.
dated Marvel humor and layer it over a nonsensical plot that requires the main villain being a retard, then you've got yourself a Supergirl script. Oh, and don't forget that the character has basically no meaningful journey at all, let alone a hero's one. And have I mentioned what a horrible role model Supergirl is? This is supposed to be this cinematic universe's Captain Marvel, but what I mean is these types of movies are heralded as empowering women and girls. Supergirl is a superhero that people can look up to, right? Well, she drinks, parties, has no goals or direction in life, and is also a murderer. So I mean, role model? Ignoring that which is up for debate, she simply doesn't have an arc in this movie. She just goes from point A to point B because the
The person that she killed, she is white to kill. Anybody would do it. Minus Superman,
script
of
deems it
course.
so, not because it happens organically in any way. She started out missing her floating home in space, but winds up back on Earth at the end and decides to call it home. Well, great. So how do we get there? Was there something that happened to her during the film that made her realize Earth is home? Was there some life-altering revelation that she had that led her back to Earth? No. She just goes back to Earth because she decides to, leaving the end completely unearned. And speaking of murdering, she has absolutely no moral center, and we come away not understanding what makes her tick at all. Even in James Gunn's Super decides to, leaving the end completely unearned. And speaking of murdering, she has absolutely no moral center, and we come away not understanding what makes her tick at all. Even
Yes, she does, dude. What makes her tick? Her
in
dog.
James Gunn's Superman last year, we understand why Clark is the way he is. Not only that, but Clark also
And we understand how Kara is the way she is because we see her past in flashbacks, just like you see Superman's past in flashbacks. What they did in Superman, they basically copied over to Supergirl. They did the same exact thing. You had a certain image, a series of flashbacks that would showcase him being on the farm with his ma and pa, as they're called, Jonathan and Martha Kent, respectively. And then it would go back to the present. They do that here in Supergirl. They have moments of when Supergirl, you see her on her planet of Krypton, or what remains thereof, and then it flashbacks to the present. And it blends perfectly. It blends perfectly with the situation that
has
she's
his
in.
beliefs challenged. In the most ridiculous way, sure, when the super harem is presented to him by his crazy evil space parents. But at least the movie gave the hero a barrier, something to mentally overcome his beliefs challenged. In the most ridiculous way, sure, when the super harem is presented to him by his crazy evil space parents. But at least the movie gave the hero a barrier, something to mentally overcome. But why is Supergirl a hero, though? What drives her? What makes her okay with murder? James Gunn has the answer. Fuck you. That's what. None of this is helped out by the villain.
Cause she doesn't actively kill. Like she's not a murderer like you think. She doesn't actively kill. Like Camelo Anthony, he killed one person. That doesn't make him a murderer. Whoa, he killed one person. immortal, and so he's a mortal world when it comes to one person, but he's not a mortal world like he killed multiple people. He's really not a mortal world. He just killed one person. I think killing one person doesn't make you a mortal world so much as if you kill multiple people, even if you commit murder. I mean, technically you are mortal, but when people say mortal world, they're looking for the exaggerated sense. They're looking for multiple kills, multiple murders, which Supergirl or Carmelo Anthony did
Of the
not do.
movie, who's an absolutely goofy ass cartoon of a character that you can't take seriously at all. He's a
That's
bad guy
true.
for no discernible reason other than evil guy is evil. Hell, even Michael Myers has
True.
more depth than this guy. I'm all for
True.
villains being evil for evil's sake, but there's usually hints at something underneath. I don't need to know why the guy is the way he is, but at least give us an idea that there's a three-dimensional character here. Heath Ledger's Joker, or Anthony Hopkins' Hannibal Lecter. These are a couple top-tier cinematic villains who don't have origin stories necessarily, at least not at the time their
True.
films came out. But they were so well written, they were clearly complex people, even though they seem to be bad for the sake of being bad. I know I'm reaching here comparing this retard of a villain to Joker and Hannibal Lecter, but just to give you an idea of how far away this villain is from a top tier one, the comparison stands. This dude sucks. This dude sucks, and with the horrible writing, I'm super happy he eats shit at the end. The closest they get to giving him any personality besides, I'm a bad guy, is his very first scene when he's sitting down to intimidate his weapons maker and asks for a piece of pie. It reminded me of the opening scene of Inglourious Bastards, except, done all shitty. He also just kind of looks lame. I don't know. Everything about this dude I don't like. From his costume design down to his mannerisms. The way I'm describing him, you'd think he was at least memorable, but no, he's not. He's the most cut and paste generic villain they could buy. He's basically like a royalty-free bad guy, a fair use foe. And the guy who plays him, and I will not even attempt to butcher that name, he looks like he's doing everything he can with what little he has to work with. With a script this terrible, what can you ask of these actors? Their motivations are literally undefined, so they have to make it up on their own. It's a poor acting job to be sure, but I honestly expected no less. Daniel Day-Lewis couldn't elevate this villain. And what of Millie Alcock? Stripper of all the red carpet controversies, and do we have anything of substance on screen? No. More comparisons to shake your soul. Millie Alcock's acting in Supergirl is on par with Rachel Zegler's in Snow White. With Millie Alcock, you're not watching a performance. You're watching someone who knows they're acting, if that makes sense. She doesn't get lost in the character at all. She tries to project big, obvious emotions as hard as possible. For example, she's drunk for the first third of the movie, and you know how performers on a show like SNL or other sketch shows, their performances are over the top and exaggerated? It works for comedic value on sketch comedy shows, but Millie Alcock employs that tactic here and it comes off as cringy and try-hard. I think she's pretty miscast, all things considered, but you've got to give her as much grace as any of the other actors. She can only do so much with what she's given. Maybe the director with 2 movies under his belt isn't the best at directing actors, and
I guess the drunk acting could have been done better, I guess. But also, it's PG-13. It's not supposed to be over the
given the
top
horrific
drunk.
script, these actors were completely set up for failure. And I might have renamed her character Annoying Girl, but Eve Ridley as Ruthie is pretty decent actually. It's the character that I found obnoxious, and that's not really her fault, it's just how it was written. Now we've gone through it all except the producer of this pile of shit, James Gunn. I remember once upon a time when James Gunn was a heavily praised indie director who was sought after for being an auteur. And he's certainly that, isn't he? He has so many James Gunnisms that you can not only spot a movie directed by him, you can spot something produced by him.
He dies.
That's why I'm not surprised he greenlit this dumpster fire. It strokes his ego and has all of the James Gunnisms that tickle his fancy. Trenchcoat hero, furry sidekick, a jaded sense of retro pop music. Speaking of which, you know that particular James Gunnism where he likes to move the camera all slow-mo style around a bewildered protagonist, while a powered hero dispatches a bunch of generic bad guys over a song from his curated collection of indie music? Well, that happens 2 times in this movie. I'm not even kidding, including the worst needle drop of all time in the 3rd act, when they play a shitty female version of Jimmy Eat World's The Middle. What the actual fuck?
True.
That is so wildly out of place in this movie. Holy God. I'd say check it out for your...
Yep. Not a good choice. Like I said before, not a good choice.
But the point of this review is to hopefully steer you away from this movie. Also, what in the world is this guy's obsession with the
See? He wants to talk shit about it. He wants to smash on the movie. See? You see how that is?
young girls and turning them into sex slaves? That's 2 movies in a row following the same thing. First a super harem, now a pirate harem. Now those weird tweets seem even weirder, James. And his obsession with urine is front and center too, with Crypto and Supergirl urinating on screen. I don't even know what to fucking make of that. Anyway, this is probably it, folks. I think James Gunn is going to be ousted at Warner Brothers. Yes, he's going to find himself out on his ass. Outside of all the bullshit propaganda surrounding his Superman movie last year, objective numbers revealed that movie to be a complete bomb at the box office. Now it's being followed up by the misfire people saw coming a million miles away with one of the biggest bombs of the 2020s. If Superman underperformed, why give an equally massive budget to a niche character from this universe? I mean this, what did they actually think was going to happen, even if it was good? And you'll know the question, can this be fixed, is pointless after you see the movie. Gunn would have absolutely no interest in fixing it, because in Supergirl he's doubling down on all the crap people were criticizing him for with Superman. With no real concrete casting for Batman yet, and the next project being yet another Superman movie, and beyond that, Clayface for some reason, this universe is in shambles before it even began. Hell, I made a video about how this shit was doomed from the start back in 2023, and lo and behold, the cynic was right.
No, not really. See, they're trying to make people like him, these grifters, they make predictions and then they walk to make those predictions come true. They have a hypothesis and then they try their best to smash on this movie so that it will actually fail, so that their predictions will be seen as true. They should be thrown in jail.
Before I go, a quick shout out to everyone over on Patreon who supports me. I really appreciate you.
Stop supporting him. Stop
guys, as
it.
always. Make sure to check that out for more reviews and video essays like this one that are exclusive.
No, nobody's gonna check you out. We're done, okay?